This video explains the commonly used functions by the provider group in the Unified Medical File electronic medical record software. The provider group includes all user types providing clinical services to patients, and shares one user interface that differs only in the permissions of the user type. Unlike the administrative staff who have a combined landing and home screen showing the calendar, providers have different landing and home screens. The landing screen has only the universal floating bar, while the home screen displays the provider's task list. Upon providing successful login credentials, the user is taken to his or her landing screen containing the floating bar. The floating bar is a universal Unified Medical File tool. It is visible over all pages and for all types of users. It is also movable over the screen, as the name implies. The user can access the sliding curtain left panel functions by clicking the leftmost icon on the floating bar. The left panel contains a collection of functions that depend on the user's permissions. Once visible, the left panel can be withdrawn by clicking anywhere on the screen. From the floating bar, the user can access his or her home page by clicking the Home icon. The home page of the provider group contains a list of pending tasks. The tasks are activities that need closing and electronic signing. To access and close a patient's pending task, click the Unified Medical File icon on the row. The system does not show patient lists besides that of the home page of providers. The user can find any patient almost instantly using the powerful Find Patient search box. To find a patient, enter part or whole of any identifying string, such as name, first name, mobile number, ID, etc., and click Enter to launch the search. The system returns a set of matching records or shows an advanced search dialog. Locate the row of your target patient in the returned list. Click the Unified Medical File icon to open the patient's page, or click on an icon to execute the function shown on the tooltip. The Unified Medical File page of a patient contains the entirety of his or her compiled, real-time medical information. It is visible similarly to all healthcare providers accessing the patient's file. The Unified Medical File page has 4 sections: upper section, right section, left section, and central section. On the Unified Medical File page, information is organized in 9 areas in the different sections. The upper section contains areas 1 through 5. Area 1 contains demographic information, impairments, alarms, and chronic conditions. Area 2 is the floating bar that can be moved as needed over the screen. Area 3 is a group of blue buttons giving access to corresponding compiled, real-time reports and file folders. Area 4 has the intake form green button to the intake form for patient's past history update and review. Area 5 contains the patient's clinical file search box to find matching content in the patient file itself. The right section contains Area 6. Area 6 contains flags raised by any provider to alert all other providers. The central section contains Area 7. Area 7 contains the activities in progress for users who share the same user type with the current user. The left section contains Areas 8 and 9. Area 8 contains the signed-off, immutable reports, such as encounters, procedures, or other documents of immutable nature, such as prescriptions and consents. Area 9 contains the immutable reported web forms grouped functionally. If any area shows no content, this means there is no matching content in the patient's file. Physicians can register patients in the system if they can see the patient registration button. This is usually visible in solo physician type of access. Clicking the patient registration button launches the wizard of patient registration. In Unified Medical File, administrative staff members schedule and start activities. Once an activity is started, it becomes visible in the central section of the Unified Medical File page. The provider's most important task is to fill the web forms in the menu of an activity and to close that activity afterwards. Completing these two actions properly ensures the creation of Unified Medical File automated reports, lists, alerts, and flags. The logic that ties things together and creates the compiled single-page medical file operates behind the scenes. First, clinical activities are usually created and scheduled by the administrative assistant staff of a facility when the patient is at the care facility. Second, the admin staff starts an activity by clicking a Start button, converting a scheduled activity to an in-progress one. Third, the activity becomes visible in the central section of the Unified Medical File page of the patient. Fourth, providers must access, fill, and sign off the imperative web forms listed in an activities menu. Fifth, after signing the imperative web forms, the activity menu shows a new menu item permitting closing of the activity. Sixth, closing a clinical activity by a doctor is a crucial and important step because it updates essential information in the activity and in common care lists such as current problems, current plans, and clinical orders. The central section of the Unified Medical File page displays all the in-progress activities for users utilizing the same user type. An activity in progress has three action icons: an order icon, a prescription icon, and a menu icon. When an activity is in progress and none of its web forms has been edited, the activity shows a red Cancel button. Clicking this button deletes the activity without any consequences in the system. Clicking the menu icon displays the business flow web form collection of the activity. The edit status of a web form is reflected by the symbol next to it. If a web form is marked with a red asterisk, this means it is an imperative web form that must be reported and signed. When all the imperative web forms of an activity have been locked, a new menu item, i.e., Close Activity, appears in the menu, permitting the closing of the activity. In the following, we explain how the provider closes an activity. The system allows an activity to be closed only by its author or a member of his or her work group. Only when the asterisk-marked forms have been locked, a Close Activity button becomes visible in the menu. Clicking on Close Activity launches the activity closing wizard that runs in two consecutive forms. First, a form that displays the current problem list of the patient where the provider can remove problems or add new ones. To add a new problem, the physician adds the problem in the designated text box and clicks the blue plus button. A physician must also determine whether the patient is discharged or not. In case he selects the Yes radio button, he will be expected to fill an impression summarizing the encounter. Signing off with a PIN will take the provider to the second form of the wizard. The second form permits the provider to revise and update the activity record itself, with any changes that ensued during its progress. In this way, the activity's initial reason, diagnosis, and procedures can all be updated if necessary. Care plans and clinical orders can also be added at this step. Also, the provider can automatically send activity reports in TXT, PDF, or JSON computer-formatted language to a specified email. In addition, This form lets the physician track the income they have generated from the activity. In summary, by filling the activity web forms and closing the activity properly, the user completes the tasks required to automatically report the activity by the software engine. Since activity closing is linked to subsequent financial transactions, if an activity is not closed properly, the transactions remain pending in the system. After signing off the Close Activity form, the activity record becomes immutable and appears as a report in the left section of the Unified Medical File page. The system also updates with related information other lists, such as problem list, orders, and plans, and the International Patient Summary. If no reports are seen in the left section, then none exist during the selected interval. Changing the interval might load older reports. The intake form is a special web form that updates and compiles the patient's past history events that occurred outside the system. In the very first clinical encounter documented in the system, the provider should fill the intake form. This will prime the patient's unified medical file with the required elements of his or her past medical history. In subsequent encounters, the intake form needs to be updated only if the patient has received care in facilities not using the Unified Medical File system. The intake form is accessed by clicking the green Intake Form button in the main Unified Medical File page. To add a past medical history entry, click the green Intake Form button, then select the appropriate category button. For example, to add a hearing disability, click Functional Impairment button, then from the drop-down list, select Hearing Impairment. Add explanatory notes and duration as needed. As you can notice, the appropriate international code for the condition that you have selected is added by the system. In the next step, click the plus button to view your new entry in the gray status screen. Entering your PIN and saving the form will add data and compile it in the Unified Medical File. Certain elements of past history, such as disabilities, allergies, and lifelong conditions, appear as icons in the upper section of the screen after saving the form. Clinical orders can be added only while activities are in progress or being closed. Here is how to add a clinical order while an activity is running in progress. In the Unified Medical File page, the user clicks the Order icon of the activity. The Order Wizard is launched, and the user can either edit an existing order template or create a new order. If you select an existing order template instead of a blank one, the included orders in this template are displayed for editing or modification. Once edits are completed, clicking Next moves the user to the next step. Entered orders can be seen by clicking the Plans and Orders blue button on the Unified Medical File page, or by clicking the In Processing Orders menu item in the left panel accessed through the floating bar. Prescriptions, like clinical orders, can be added only while activities are in progress or being closed. To add a prescription to an in-progress activity, in the Unified Medical File page, the user clicks the prescription icon of the targeted activity. The prescription wizard is launched. The user can either edit an existing prescription template or create a new one from scratch. If you select an existing prescription template instead of a blank prescription, component medications of the prescription are displayed. Prescription components can be edited if needed, and new medications can be added by clicking the Add Medication button. Clicking the Save Prescription button adds the prescription in the system. Saved prescriptions can be handed out or processed as per local authorities' rules. When a web form is signed off by the user, it becomes immutable and is added to the collection of web forms visible in the left section of the Unified Medical File page. In the left section, forms are grouped in functional groups. Under each functional group, the forms are shown in structure-similar sets. This means, for example, that lab results all appear under different functional groups, and each functional group has a series of the same test. In this way, forms with numeric content, such as blood count or vital signs, etc., can be viewed as graphs or tables, providing serial time results follow-up. If no web forms are visible in the left section, this means no reports exist in the system for the set interval. Change the interval to load older results. To browse and view web form reports, do the following. In the left section, the existing web forms of the patient are listed, grouped by their type, for the set interval. Clicking on a group in the left section opens the different sets under it. To view a web form report, click on the desired set to see its member instances. On any row, hover to see a tooltip showing more information, or click View to open the web form report. Unified Medical File flags are red messages on the right section of the Unified Medical File page. They appear due to user or system action. Flags appear in the right section of the Unified Medical File page. Each flag row contains the author, date, label, and message. The flag can be deleted by clicking the bin icon. Clicking on the flag row itself opens the source of the flag. The International Patient Summary is a system-compiled report that includes all the important facts in a patient's medical history during a determined time interval. The International Patient Summary is accessible only through the main Unified Medical File page of the patient. To view it, click the IPS blue button. The system will load and display a report showing the last date of compilation. To update and get the latest report, simply click Sync Latest 6 months, and the report will be recompiled to reflect the past 6 months' reports. If you need to see a longer interval, click on the white arrow and select a different one. In an open report, elements of the report that have content show a blue arrow that, when clicked, expands the section and displays content. You can click the Expand All to show all the available content during the selected interval. The report can be printed or emailed directly. Simply click Print or Email to execute the required function. In its single web page, Unified Medical File puts all patients' information at your fingertips. The problem list, plans and orders, and medication list are all crucial, real-time, and system-compiled lists generated without direct user input. To view the problem list, the current plans, and the medication list, go to the main Unified Medical File page of the patient. Find the set of blue buttons. Click your required list and simply click the blue button. All media files of any type included in the patient's file are listed in the media gallery, sorted by date. This folder is accessed by clicking the Gallery button on the Unified Medical File page. To browse and view Patient's Gallery folder, including all media files, do the following. In the Unified Medical File page, find the Gallery blue button. Click the button to open the Gallery folder and display the media files uploaded during the set interval. The set interval can be changed. The size of the displayed thumbnails can also be changed. The patient calendar is visible to all providers on the Unified Medical File page. Clicking on Calendar shows all the patient's events, including scheduled medications. To browse and view a patient's calendar, do the following. In the Unified Medical File page, find the patient's calendar blue button. Clicking this button loads the patient's calendar. In the calendar, medication events are in green and clinical activities in blue. Hover over an event to see its details.